Welcome to You're Still Doing That? And today we are talking to the hottest and most legendary bookworm in all of Lee County history, my wife, Crissy Miller. And today we're going to be talking about her love of books and reading. Crissy, when did you start reading?
Oh my God. I started reading when I was 2 years old.
Wow, a child prodigy. Move over Mozart. We have a new master. Ding, 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 ding. Let's hear your story, Crissy. Crissy, how did you learn to read at the age of 2?
My mom taught me how to read using the little magnet letters, Fisher-Price magnet letters on the fridge. And we sat on the kitchen floor at the fridge, and she taught me how to read.
What kind of books did your mom have you reading when you were little?
When I was little, I read a lot. I had a crap ton of Little Golden books. Do you remember Little Golden books?
Yeah.
I had a ton of those. I loved them. Especially, there was one with Grover. There's a monster at the end of this book.
Oh, yeah.
I love that book.
I'm trying to think of how to make his voice, but I can't bring it to my head.
Yeah, and Mom was really awesome at reading it. Like, no, don't turn the page. Don't do it. There's a monster, you know.
Gosh, Kermit. That's his voice?
I don't think so.
I'm trying to think what he sounded like. Now, I remember you telling me something about your Mimi having you read some of her books or something like that.
Yeah, I would. My grandmother read. She always had a book in her hand, much like myself these days. But she would read a lot of just mysteries. I'm not sure what it was, like mass market paperbacks is what I remember her having. But I remember like having sleepovers at her house, and we'd be like on the pull-out couch, and I would read her. You know, I'd like, let me read a page of your book to you. So I would read to her, and that was at like 4 and 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
I was reading to my grandma.
Well, you beat the pants off some of our kindergartners right now.
I don't know that, I don't know how much I, like, understood necessarily what I was reading, but I could read the words. Mom was great at, they did phonetics back then, not just sight words, and I don't know.
They still do some phonetics, but it's a lot of sight.
Yeah.
It's a lot of rote learning.
So, but anyway, yeah.
Did you have a favorite book series as a kid that you liked to read?
I read a lot of Nancy Drew books back then.
Drew.
You know, we're mid-70s babies,
so little girls and boys probably.
Yeah, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, and I liked a lot of Choose Your Own Adventure books back then. I would get those at the book fair. That would come to school, and we had a Riff truck would come to school. I don't know if they had Riff here, but reading is fun.
I don't remember that in California.
Reading is Fundamental was a group, and they would come in and set up like in the gym, and every kid could go just pick a free book.
Oh wow!
So those were the highlights of the school year for me. But I would do a lot of Choose Your Own Adventure books. And I liked mystery, ghost stories. I liked a lot of spooky books. There was John Bellairs was an author that I read a lot. He wrote like The Lion, the Witch, and the Ring. And recently Jack Black had a movie that was based on one of his books, The House with the Clock in Its Walls.
Oh, yeah.
I never saw the movie, but I did like the book. And I remember...
I always thought that was a Goosebumps thing.
I remember checking them out of my school library, and the librarian was like, I don't know if those books are for you. I think I was on the younger set of grades, and I think she made me like read a page.
I was trying to force you into those,
she was like, "Well, read me a page of this book to see if I could check it out." But at least she let me check it out. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Good librarian.
Yes.
So did you have good English grades in school?
English was a favorite subject. I loved spelling.
Opposites attract. Woo!
Spelling and grammar. I love high school English was good. I'm not gonna be like, I was not a perfect student, but I think towards the end of high school might have been like, I don't know. I struggled a little bit, not with the content, but I think I had maybe some of my anxiety, mental health stuff started to...
Too flustered by yours truly.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was more to do with like turning stuff in late than
you were
content. But
with something.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
So, did you have any teachers that helped foster your love of reading along the way?
I was trying to think. I don't recall really. I can't say that there was like a big inspiring teacher moment. I had a 4th grade teacher, Miss Brummuller. My mom does not like Miss Brummuller because she kept me out of some program that my mom wanted me to be in. But she did give me a book, like before school ended, that was like a children's book of poetry thing that I still have, and I loved that book. And I think Mrs. Seaman, my 12th grade teacher, who's now Mrs. Stevenson, I really enjoyed her class.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I always heard great things about her class.
We read Macbeth and Hamlet and that, so... But yeah.
Now, did you have any favorite authors from your school days, or maybe just a favorite book?
From my school days, as like all like kindergarten through 12th grade school.
Anything you remember, yeah.
I liked Sweet Valley Twins and Sweet Valley High books. I read all of those as a little kid. And then Christopher Pike was one. He wrote like more mystery, scary kind of books.
Right.
Babysitter's Club.
Mm-hmm.
But
we got a million of those.
Yeah, I liked George Orwell through high school. Like we read, 1984 and Animal Farm.
Mm-hmm.
I liked.
Your English class did. Not mine. We're still reading Babysitter's Club.
No, but yeah, I wanted to be a person that like has read a lot of classic literature type books, but there's still a ton on that I haven't read.
Yeah, well, there's a ton of classic
There's
stuff
too many books. Like you want to read the new stuff and keep current, but it's hard. It's hard to keep up.
Is there a book from your childhood that you like so much that you have reread it as an adult?
I mean, other than there's a monster at the end of this book, and like some Dr. Seuss things, I'm not much of a rereader.
Yeah.
Well, it's not from my childhood, but like maybe I've reread like the first Harry Potter. And I can maybe think of one
before the movies came out.
No, I don't think I did.
You didn't?
No, I don't. I can't really think. I can remember one other book I've reread, but it was something I read as an adult that I just really loved. But no, I'm not. Oh, and I reread Things Fall Apart. This is not something that I loved, but we read it in 10th grade. And I was like, let me read this as an adult and see if I
remember the same thing.
Well, yeah, see if it hits different. But I didn't really care for it.
No,
Sorry.
I did
Sorry,
read that one
Chinois.
in high school.
Yeah.
All right. So now that you've been a beautiful grown adult woman for a little while.
Okay.
What are a few of your favorite authors you've loved as an adult?
As an adult, my current favorite author is Frederick Bachman. I love everything that he has written. I think
Is this the bear guy?
Yes, Beartown. Y'all, everybody needs to read Beartown. It's now a trilogy. You need to read it. And Anxious People. I haven't read anything by him that I haven't just loved. And he has like I don't know how he like describes humanity and the state of being human in such a way that is just like, yes, like, I don't know.
When an author can describe something and you can get a visual in your head just as clear as day, that's always a
visual. But I think with him, it's more like you feel it, like in your heart. It's like, God, like it just really, well, I make you listen to it.
Yeah, you sure do make me listen to it.
But anyway, Frederick Bachman, probably right now my number one. Catherine Arden is another. She wrote the Winter Night trilogy. First book in that one is The Bear and the Nightingale, and that's actually the only book that I can remember rereading. I didn't make it through the whole trilogy twice, but I did read the first book again. And I've got such a crush on the Frost Demon in that book.
Frost Demon. Yeah,
Morosco. And she's got some new books coming out this year, so that's exciting. And also Stephen King. I've really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed some and have been really disturbed by some. But he's another one that I have like the lofty goal of like reading everything he's written, but it just it's going to take a lifetime.
You don't have enough years left in your life to read everything he's written.
But, I go in little spurts. Like I've got a Stephen King book next to me right now that's waiting for me to read.
I remember when you read Cujo.
Yeah.
And you were reading some of the passages, and I said, that wasn't in the movie.
Spoiler alert, y'all. The movie ends completely differently than the book ends. I think the movie was trying to save us from heartache.
That was, it was much Stephen King. Yeah, that went way harder in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of there's one called Desperation that he wrote that was just really disgusting. Like just some of the descriptions of, some physical descriptions were just really.
Can see her face right now as she's saying this.
It was really, really gross. Ugh.
What about a book series as an adult?
Book series as an adult. There's a few. I like the Temperance Brennan series by Kathy Reichs, and that series is what the TV show Bones was based on, which is a funny little circle because in the TV series Bones also becomes an author and writes books about her story. So it's like a little circle because Kathy Reichs, the author, is a forensic anthropologist that teaches at UNC Charlotte, and she wrote stories based on her experience, and then that became a TV show, which became a book in the TV show, and it's like this weird little circle. But I enjoy those. And the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich is a fun little guilty pleasure.
You did make me read one of those books, too.
They're really floofy, and like there's not a lot of like real depth to them, but they're hilarious and just like a good like break from reality. Right. And then over the last year, I read the Three Pines Armand Gamache series by Louise Penny. And I love that. Love that series and those characters. And I am impatiently waiting to see if the 19th book comes out because now I'm caught up. And it's like waiting for...
And you're caught up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's just...
Well, I'm caught up on all of those series.
That destroys my brain.
all three of those series are in about the 20s.
So what's a genre of books that you like to read now that your younger self would have never, ever picked up?
Probably historical fiction, maybe. I think maybe that would have like been like, oh, that sounds like it's for old people. And maybe now I'm an old person. And so I'm reading historical fiction. But I do like, there are some people that feel like reading stories is not learning, or like you don't, or it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say, that it's like if you want to learn, read nonfiction, right? But
you can have nonfiction in your fiction books.
Yes, you can. And even if it's not like taking place in a historical time where you're learning about things that happened in the past, you learn so much through through fiction, through stories, through imagination. You're learning empathy. You're learning different experiences and different perceptions from people who may have different experiences than you. I make a point to try to read books about people or by people who are different from me. It's a big empathy builder.
Right.
It's a big way to gain some understanding about the world we live in and the people we share it with.
Especially if you can't get out and experience it in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I can't travel the world on our teacher salary and our state employee salary, but
we do have the world in our little library.
We do have a world in our library, and you can learn lots.
So what is your go-to style of book? Like, if you want to read, but you don't like the pile of books you have set out, what's a go-to genre that you're gonna go to?
You know, I don't know that I necessarily have a go-to genre. I'm pretty eclectic. And as we can tell from the last 2 months where I have been in a very bad reading space for me, not to say that it's bad for anybody, where I just had, my headspace was taken up by so much change that we've had going on over this summer. That I couldn't really focus on reading anything. And I tried audiobooks, which are a fantastic way to read. And yes, audiobooks count as reading, people. But I don't know. I think I always have a wide variety of books. You know, you can check out like 25 books from the library at a time, and I try to, I'll butt up against that. But like mystery... I think mystery might be one that I might go to. Literary fiction I like some memoirs. I don't know. Yeah, it just depends on my mood.
Eclectic around of books around you all the
Fantasy type things, magical. I really like magical realism. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just a lot. Usually I'll just like read a page. Am I into this right now? No. Okay, let me take the next one from the pile.
From the 20 you have sitting over.
Yeah.
So who do you listen to for book recommendations? If someone says, "Ooh, Crissy, you have to read this book," who is it that says that, and you go and get that book?
There's a few people. The first one that just popped into my head when you said that is Sarah Slate. Shout out to Sarah Slate, librarian at Tramway. She's fantastic and a hilarious person. And you should know her. But she is one. She'll send me random books. One was actually the first book I read this year was Krampus. She sent it to me as a joke.
Oh, yeah, I remember you
because it had a crazy looking demon guy on the cover. And she was like, haha, you should read this. And I was like, okay. And I did. And it was really good. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. So her, I've got friends on Goodreads. I keep track of stuff I read and want to read on Goodreads. So Bianca Stumpf, Amanda Sinotis. I've got a friend Jennifer on there who I've only met once in real life. But we have, I think, similar interests. So, and my friend Kelly in Minnesota also. And then just a lot of like, I get the little book page magazines from the library with stuff coming out or like any kind of like Goodreads list.
Like you read just about everything that comes your way. Like, oh, you should try this. Okay.
I will try it. Yeah. I will try it.
So you're not, other than being an avid reader and keeping the bookshelves empty at our local library, you also put in our time at our local library. You were on the library board of Lee County.
I am on the library board of trustees for Lee County.
So what is your role or your title that you hold for the Lee County Library Board of Commissioners, I think it's
Board
called.
of Trustees.
Board of Trustees.
First of all, I am just here as my own person. Any views I have are not the views of the library or the Lee County government or anything like that.
That's a good one to put in.
I'm the vice chairperson of the Board of Trustees for the library, with the caveat that Kathy you cannot go anywhere, move anywhere, or become ill. Kathy, our chairperson, she must stay well in order for me to continue being the vice chair.
So what kind of projects are the Library Board of Trustees working on?
We're pretty much an advisory board for the director of the library. So, we go over, we might advise on policies that the library has for like programs and collection, stuff like that. But the big project right now is that Lee County is getting a new library. So that's been really exciting and fun to be a part of. Really, the architect for this library is really, I'm amazed at how thoughtful and intentional they are in the way they're, putting together what this library is going to be, like really taking into account like the history of Lee County, the community we have here, like right down to like the kind of materials they're using on the outside to like, I don't know. It's just really, really cool.
Well, that sounds awesome. Our little library is I think it's pretty good. But it has been around for a very long time.
I think since the 70s, this library.
Quite a long time. Why did they decide that we need to have a new library?
Lee County is growing so fast. We've got so much growth here, and we've really outgrown our little library. Our library is my favorite place in Lee County, but the space is just not adequate anymore to do all the things to serve the community. That
right.
A library
When I was
wants
a kid going in there, I used to think of it as this really big place.
Yeah.
But as an adult, when I go in, it's not particularly all that big in the way of the amount of books it can hold.
And the library isn't just for books, because it also it serves the community in a lot of other ways with programming and technology, and it doesn't,
and having community spaces for groups to meet, which it doesn't particularly have a really good amount of that if somebody needed a space to meet.
Right. There's some small conference rooms, but there's pretty small.
Yeah, I was about to say it's very, very limited. When are we supposed to get this fabulous new library?
Currently, it's projected to finish in late 2025.
2025. So, where is it going to be placed at?
It is going to be back behind the new State Employees Credit Union back in O.T. Sloan Park. That road behind alongside of the credit union, I think, is gonna, again, y'all, any errors that I'm saying is just my own stupidity and error. Not that road will extend out and it'll be set back there it's going to be really awesome because the set with the park there, you'll be able to have like indoor outdoor space to use. So just think about, you think PopCon was big, where is the library is located now? PopCon at the new place is going to be able to.
I can't wait to see that con get bigger and bigger. They do such a great job. So what kind of upgrades is this new library going to have over our current one?
They're going to have a big meeting space. Like the Board of Commissioners, I think, will ultimately use it for their meetings.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be like able to, like, you can close it off from the main library. So like if their meeting is going to go till 10 p.m. like they do sometimes, the library can close up and you can still get in and out to the meeting space.
Meeting rooms too.
Right.
Good.
And it's going to have like a maker space. It's going to have a little amphitheater outside. Incorporate some of the nature of the park in there. Teen space, kid space.
I'm sure a lot of technological upgrades as well, and abilities.
Yes. Yeah, and I have no idea what those are off the top of my head
Right.
now. But you can go to the library's webpage and see a whole mock-up of the library and how the project is going, if you're so inclined.
It'll be exciting to see that go up and definitely serve our community, which is growing.
I'm so excited.
Growing and growing.
I'm so excited. And what a great location. I mean, it's going to be right across there from Lee County High School and the college. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
And I like that it's hooked up next to the park as well. So
yeah, and you can think, I mean, if you got a kid playing a baseball game or something over there, and then you can go get a book, or, you know, if you, whatever.
It's just another way to serve our community all in
one place.
One little place. They don't have to drive from here to there. They can do all kinds of things. It's really, really, really good spot. So also, besides being on a library board, you've also been a part of a lot of different book clubs over the years, but recently you've been part of our county's band book club. Ooh, the band book club. Yeah. Oh no.
I've been MIA. I've been a little MIA from the band book club, y'all. I'm sorry. I think I've just been extra introverty lately, but I'm trying to get back. I have this month's book. I just have to read it.
So, why do you think people want to ban books in particular?
I cannot stand people trying to ban books. Let me just say. Because they're afraid. People
that's what I think too.
People are afraid.
They're
afraid of
their truth is going to get called out as a not true or terrible to humankind, and
or ideas that make them uncomfortable, and so they don't want anybody else to have those ideas. There's
or that their ideas are old and archaic and don't apply any longer.
Yeah. And there's a quote, I think, somewhere. I don't know who said it, so sorry, y'all. But it's something like if you're afraid a book is going to make you think, then you're not afraid of books. You're afraid of thinking. You don't want people to... a book is not going... It could change your perspective. Books have changed my perspective on things, but I don't think it's... I'm not going to read a book about... two women in love and suddenly become a lesbian if I'm not already, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't.
But however, if I am a young woman questioning myself and I read a book about two women in love, then I feel not so alone and you know what I mean? It's
right. That's right. Other people with the same types of feelings and ways. What kind of books have been banned that you think might surprise people? What kind of things have you read in the club that have been banned that would maybe some people would why would that even be banned? I don't understand. The
Lorax was banned by Dr. Seuss. They did a kids
movie out of the Lorax.
Yes, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, right?
Right.
It's not going to get better. It's not. I don't know. I messed that quote up. What's that quote, Matt?
You don't ask me to remember things.
Anyway.
It wasn't the Lorax, they were cutting down all the trees.
Yeah, so it was banned, I think, because, in California, because people were afraid that kids were going to revolt against the logging industry, which Right.
Well, there needs to be a balance, right?
Right.
We need paper and we need wood to build things, but we still need trees so that we can breathe.
Right, yeah. It's a little important.
So maybe a balance is good.
The Diary of Anne Frank, of course, was banned because it was a downer, and recently, the little board book called Everywhere Babies? It's a book for babies with pictures of babies in it. But a school district in Florida wanted that kept out of kids' hands because there was a picture of two men. Illustration. It's drawn, but there were two men hugging. So they wanted that was not appropriate.
Hugging. We can't do that in public.
There's no you don't know why the two men are hugging. They could be brothers. They could be friends. They could be two dads. I don't know, but...
people are too crazy today.
Yeah.
So, what has been some of your favorite banned books that you've read in that club that you were You loved the book. You were surprised how much you liked it.
Oh gosh. Lawn Boy, I really liked. I can't think of the author right now, but it was Lawn Boy. I liked that book a lot. It made me think about, again, dangerous, making me think. Just about our society that we live in and how hard it can be to change your
Perspective of thinking.
Not perspective, but like if you are born into poverty and have all these not strikes, I mean against you, but like your life is hard, like you're in a low income environment, you have a sibling that is special needs, it's hard to raise yourself up out of that situation, right?
Yes.
Anyway, that was what I got out of that, but what other awesome ones have we read in there? I can't really think. Mouse. We read Mouse. We've read a lot of graphic novels in the band book club, which like I find interesting.
It seems like the niche of things they want to ban right now.
It does, and I think because I guess maybe if you add images to the words, they think it makes it worse, I guess. But Mouse was one, that was about, the author was retelling his dad's story, who was a Holocaust survivor. And they had mice, the Jewish folks were depicted as mice and the Nazis were depicted as cats.
I like it. Yeah, I could see that.
But that one was banned, I think, because there was a picture of the gas chamber, and there was a naked mouse.
Oh my goodness! Aren't mice naked to begin with?
Well,
unless this little guy was written differently. But in any way, the ban of books thing. I mean, that's the good thing about thinking, because once you learn something, then you can do something different. Once you learn the truth about some things, then
a perspective.
But when you learn how to do something better, then you should be better. You shouldn't shove away different ideas just because they're different from yours, because it might enhance everyday life already.
I'll tell you one thing though: if you tell me that a book is being banned, I am 100% going to go read it.
That's right. Well, what is it? Yeah, because usually it's banned because it's probably got a lot of truth in it.
Yeah. We had, we read Genderqueer for Band Book Club. That was another one. It's another graphic novel, but I read it and I thought it was really valuable. And then I handed it right to Sophie before it was time to turn it back in. I was like, here, you should read this too.
Right.
So, my kids also read band books.
Yeah. Knowledge is power.
Yep.
Part of the reason they ban books.
Exactly.
All right. So, a little fun stuff here to test some of your reading knowledge. We're going to look at some of the top 10 books of
2022.
Last year's top 10. I think they were on the New York Times bestseller list for a certain amount of weeks. We'll see how many you've dived into that. Number 1, Where the Crawdads Sing. Check. Yep, they made a movie too.
They did make a movie, and there's a controversy about that author. She apparently is wanted for questioning in a murder in Africa over...
I didn't hear that. It's crazy.
Yeah, over poachers. They were trying to... I don't know. Allegedly. She's wanted for questioning.
Oh my goodness.
She's not a poacher, but she was trying to protect the animals. Allegedly, apparently.
Another book called The Midnight Library.
I did read that. I loved that one. Love.
The Last Thing He Told Me.
No.
Lessons in Chemistry.
Also love historical fiction and soon to be an Apple TV series. Yeah. Really good. Make you really mad. Make you feel a lot.
The Lincoln Highway.
I've not read that, but it is on my to be read list.
Your favorite Stephen King, Billy Summers.
I have not read that one.
Of course, he puts out like 3 books a year.
He writes a lot.
It's hard to keep up with him. Another person who writes 3 books a year, John Grisham. His book, The Judges List.
I have not read that. I think I have only read one John Grisham book in my life.
I might say one, too. I don't remember which one I read. Am I trying to be a reader face? That didn't last very long.
It's never too late, Matt.
I did read a lot in college. My job had lended itself to reading, and we didn't have internet back then, so at least not on your phone anyway. So you read in your spare time. The Paris Apartment.
I did read that one. Mysteries. Good.
The Stranger in the Lifeboat.
No.
Mitch Albom. I like that name. And your favorite author of all time, Nicholas Sparks.
Man, I don't like Nicholas Sparks.
I know. I was hoping she would use some of her nerdy words for this one.
There's there's a place for Nicholas Sparks. There are all kinds of books for all kinds of people, and
That's right.
That one's just not for me. But like a good steward of books should be, I will leave it on the shelf for someone else to read.
That's right.
I don't need to take it away just because I don't like it.
Now here's a list of top 10 selling top 10 selling fiction books of all time. According to sales anyway. They're top 10 in sales. Fiction books. So you're not going to find the Bible or the Quran on this list. Vardiwala Gunda. It's a Hindi book.
I've never heard of that.
No, I didn't have heard of that one either, but 80 million people have bought it. She, A History of Adventure.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, no, 83 million.
What is this list?
This is the top. Okay. Lou, are you joining the podcast? She's going to be noisy. Next one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I actually read that for Banned Book Club.
I could see that one being banned. Oh, the cat is walking through everything. Come on, Lou, she's going to step on a button. This one is a Chinese book, Dream the Red Chamber.
No.
Nope. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie.
Yes, I have read that one.
Yeah.
And it used to have a different title, but they have updated it to be a little more politically correct.
What was the original title?
What, I'm not going to make me say it. You can look that
now
up.
You've got me. Yeah, all right. Everybody Google Agatha Christie's and Then There Were None and see what it says. Next one, top selling. The first Harry Potter, The Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes, I've read all the Harry Potters, and back in the day, we used to go up to Borders and Cary for the midnight release of Harry Potter books.
Remember all of us dressed up. The Little Prince.
I have not read that, but I intend to read that. It's originally in French, and that is one that I want to read in French.
Yes,
and it should be on my level.
I know.
In French.
The author's got a very French name. Look at the author's name. And here is a school favorite, The Tale of Two Cities.
Did I read that
I think
in
I did read
English?
that in high school.
I can't comment. I don't know. I don't remember.
I think
it's
had
possible.
To read that one.
I think I read Great Expectations. Maybe I haven't read A Tale of Two
Maybe
Cities.
that was it too. And everybody's favorite, Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. No, I don't think I have read that either.
I read
but
it.
I know of it. I mean, I
read
know
it in
that.
school, but I couldn't tell you what it's about.
I know he had a battle with the windmills, right?
I know there's a windmill, but I couldn't tell you. And I do know they've made all kinds of movies that have been in the same format of storytelling.
Yeah, maybe we should read that together.
It sounds like maybe you can read it out loud to me. That would be great.
Okay.
All right. Now, super great questions. What is the raunchiest book you've ever read?
Now, I will tell y'all, there are some books that I will read and not put them on my Goodreads list because I am embarrassed and I don't want people to know that I have read them. But I think it would be safe to say, because I think a lot of people have read the 50 Shades book, so I'll just go with that. But there may be some others that I've read that are a little raunchier than 50 Shades.
I was about to say, 50 Shades, I mean, it is raunchy, but I've got to say, there's got to be way more raunchier than that out there.
There is.
It's like rated R raunchy, but I was like, ooh, there's got to be way worse than that.
Yeah, I'm just not going to say,
That's
because I have to
mainstream
keep
raunchy.
Sometimes I just have to keep my representative up and let people think just...
All right, what's a book that's made you cry?
There's several. The Beartown
I was going to say
trilogy.
Beartown. I remember you crying through that one.
Oh my God! In the Winners, the last one. Do you remember? I was just sitting here yelling, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" And you're out in the kitchen just telling the kids, "Don't worry, Mommy's just reading her book."
Right.
There's also one called Irana's Children, which was about that was a nonfiction book that was about a woman that saved like 1,500 kids out of the Warsaw
I remember
ghetto.
you telling me about that one. So yeah, you were crying through there too.
Yeah, and you were like, "Why are you reading this? Why are you doing this to
Right?
yourself?" Like, because it's important. It's important to know. And my God, just like I wish that I would be a person like that. You know what I mean? Like that would.
It'd be a hard person to be.
It would be a hard person to be. And judging from the fact that I heard some guy in the woods the other night yelling for help in a tree, and I was just like, I hope
stay here.
I hope somebody else helps him because I don't trust that he's not just trying to lure me out into the woods.
What's a book that has scared you?
The Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. That was pretty scary.
I remember you were reading something and you were like, "Oh!" And you'd get like a jump scare, but from a book.
Oh, that might have been also the Grady Hendrix, the one with the puppets. Is that the one?
Yes, you had a puppet in it.
Yeah. That was called How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. That was a little gross.
You jumped and shouted reading that book.
Yeah, and then I read the paragraph out to you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I remember
because
some
things have to be shared sometimes.
What is one of the most violent and graphic books you've read?
I will say this was for Band Book Club. I remember thinking that I would have had to use a pen name if I wrote this book because I would be horrified for people to think that I had these thoughts in my head and put them out to the world. But it's American Psycho by...
oh, yeah, because you were telling me about that, and I remember watching the movie.
The movie is nothing. I watched the movie. I will watch a movie after I've read the book. The movie was nothing. I remember, Matt, you said that movie was so horrible and so graphic, and oh my God, and it was nothing compared to the things on the page. Oh my God, it was horrifying, but it was also well written, and I did want to know what was going to happen, but I was literally horrified. Ugh.
What is a book that has changed one of your ways of thinking?
Oh gosh, a book that's changed my way of thinking. I think it would have to be, I don't know that I could just name a book, but I think any of the books that I seek out that are not by just a, like middle class white lady married with a family, like any books that are outside of my experience. I think like maybe like Angie Thomas books, The Hate You Give, On the Come Up, Concrete Rose, those little books that really open my eyes to, the way some people are living and let me be less judgmental. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You don't like how something is or what people are doing, but you can understand
right why that's happening.
Why and how. So I think it's really important to read books that are outside of your own experience.
It seems good in general to do things that are outside your bubble.
Yeah. I also read, I lean more fiction these days. I think I've gotten real just tired of reality. But a few years ago, I was reading about 50-50 fiction, nonfiction. So I think anything like historical, or about like social justice, history, stuff like that is also really eye-opening and just, kind of makes you understand the world a little bit.
That's what books are supposed to do. Take you somewhere else, show you things that you may have not seen before, whether they be fictional or non-fictional. But that's what books are supposed to do, is open your eyes and show you new things.
Yep. The whole
and give
world.
You new experiences that you can't go out and do it yourself, but you can read about it.
Yeah.
And hopefully gain some experience.
And
knowledge.
you can read about, you're reading about it. I think this too, when I think of a lot of young adult fiction are on banned book lists. People don't think that kids should be exposed to whatever idea or whatever these characters are doing in the book. But it's a secondhand experience, right? The kid is not doing the thing,
right.
but they are gaining the experience and understanding of how these characters are dealing with the thing, whether it's smoking or drugs or relationships or abuse or whatever. These kids people are going through these experiences.
Yeah.
So it's a safe way to learn about that stuff.
Right. And banning a book from a high schooler, come on, they've got a phone in their hand. They're going to just go look up whatever. That book's not going to make a dent into whatever you're trying to ban them from. So, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you'll be.
Yeah.
All right, Crissy. So we've come to the end of this podcast, and I've got some little rapid fire questions I ask each guest to answer, and it's fun to see the similarities of each one.
Okay.
All right, number 1. What is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? Outside, of course, of myself and our family.
Oh, Lord.
Because everybody likes to say their spouse or their kids being born or something like that.
Right. I would say the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Iceland, maybe.
Yes. I was wondering if you were going to say that.
The Glacier Lagoon. Libby, thank you for taking me to Iceland. The Glacier Lagoon and the seals, I think. I can't remember the last time I felt so much like I can feel like myself wanting to cry right now. Just like joy and awe and wonder at that. That is a beautiful, magical place. And also in Iceland, random, weird, just thing that really stuck with me is that their dandelions. Their dandelions are massive in Iceland, and they let them grow. Like, they're not, you don't have to have just a green lawn of nothing. Right. It's like, the bees.
America's one of the few places that mow their grass. I think a lot of people just let stuff grow.
Let the bees have the stuff, right?
What's one of your favorite smells?
Can I name multiple smells?
Oh, good. Well, whatever you want to do.
The smell of a forest when you're walking in and you can smell the trees and pine needles and all of that kind of stuff. Campfire. The ocean. Not Lou. Fresh cut grass and petrichor. The smell of after it rains, that smell that's left.
Yeah.
Those are, I think, my favorite smells. And skunk! Oh my God!
I thought you were going to get to your list without saying skunks.
I love the smell of skunks.
Somebody else said that too on a podcast. I think it was Jeremy.
Yeah, I love the smell of skunks. We would have a little Audubon Society had a Drumlin Farm, the town next to where I grew up, and it was just little animal things, and they had the denning animals, and it was, you would go in this little like cave thing, and it was red lights under there, and the skunks were in there, and I could just stay in there. My mom thought I was crazy, but
yes, I would think she's correct.
But my mom likes skunk smell too. Yeah.
All right, what is one of your favorite sandwiches?
A favorite sandwich. Grilled cheese cut in triangles.
Oh yeah, that's good. We can make those tomorrow.
Okay.
What is your favorite kind of drink to have? What's your
favorite drink? Would be like maybe Constant Comment tea, or that dandelion chai with oat milk is really good, or a soy latte with cinnamon powder. sprinkled on it, or just a warm beverage in general, a warm, comforting.
You like warm beverages.
Warm, yeah.
What's one thing that makes you happy every time it happens?
Well, we're not supposed to talk about kids, or the rare occasions that our kids all are like getting along and talking to each other and supporting each other. Because that's really weird. But, or like watching the kids perform in their like ensemble groups, or having some kind of success really makes me happy. But also, anytime Mbop comes on the radio, yeah, that's like an instant happy boost.
What kind of advice would you give your kid self if you could give them just a little nugget of advice?
Oh.
Your kid self living in Boston, not Boston, but right outside of Boston.
My little kid self, that's a great question, isn't it?
That's a very good question.
I don't know. I think I would let her know that it's okay. It's okay to use your voice. It's okay to have, thoughts and opinions. It's cool. And to voice them. And also, it's okay to ask for help when you're struggling, and it's okay to lean on people who love you. I don't know, yeah. And that you don't have to, when stuff is hard, you just don't have to keep it all in.
Right. Lean on friends.
Yeah. Lean on friends and family. Let people know what you're going through.
And the last little thing, and self-sustaining for the podcast, who would be a good guest to have on the podcast? What's somebody that's been doing something for a very long time?
How about Amy McKinney singing? Have you got Amy?
Amy McKinney and singing. No, I do not have Amy McKinney yet. Her name's not come across.
You're lucky you just texted me today, Amy. Kept you right in the forefront of my head.
There you go. You're on the clock, Amy McKinney. I'm going to come send you a message. Well, Crissy, thanks for being on the show, baby.
Not like I had a choice.
You always have a choice.
Okay.
You can tell the tens of people that will be listening to this podcast what is 2 books they should go out and read.
Oh my God.
Just
2?
Just 2.
Well, Beartown, number 1. I want everybody to read Beartown. And then, if you like it, there's a couple more that follows, but I'm not going to use those up. But Beartown and I don't know. What else?
I don't know. Pick one. You're the one that's supposed to use a voice.
Well, that was rude to throw that back on me. Let's see. What
was that series you said you loved with the Frostmen?
Oh, Catherine Arden. The first book in that series is called The Bear and the Nightingale. It's really good. It's got Russian folklore. It's a mix of Russian folklore. It's got a little feminist twist on it, but that doesn't mean that guys can't read it, because guys can be feminists too, and they can like stories like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, you hear it right out of my beautiful wife's mouth. Go get that book, and remember, folks, find out what makes you happy and do it. There's a lot of life out there to live, so make the time to enjoy it. Everybody go read a book and have a good week.